If you've been listening to or watching the Weekly over the last month or so, you know that this is the Pocketnow Weekly, and if you're making a smartwatch while you're doing it for some reason, you know that all you need to do is make it round, and the world will pay attention. We'll see about that. Also, HTC's Android flagship running Windows Phone? It's more likely than you think. And a special guest drops by to tell us what's what in the news outside our little mobile-only bubble on episode 107 of the Pocketnow Weekly, the once-a-week podcast where we discuss news and opinion from the world of mobile technology, smartphones, tablets, wearables, and other gadgets you wished existed when you were a kid. From Boston, Massachusetts, where the internet flows like castor oil, I'm your host, Michael Fisher. I'm joined today by Pocketnow's chief news editor, Stephen Schenk, a.k.a. the Great Fire Phone Defender. Welcome back to you, sir.
And the guy who only just now remembered to set his call recorder active, so, hey.
It's all right, I didn't do it either.
Yeah.
And by friend of the show, Stefan Constantinescu from TabDump.com and the great state of Texas. Welcome back to the United States and to this podcast, my friend.
Hello, and I just came out of the shower, so I'm a little bit dripping wet. Just for you, Michael.
That is good. I am pleased. I do not like dry people on the show, so I'm very pleased to hear that. Folks, if you've been listening to the Weekly over the past month or so, you might know that Swappa.com is our sponsor. For those unfamiliar, Swappa is a marketplace for gently used phones, tablets, and smartwatches. Just recently, I tested the selling side of the service. I wanted to see if my Gear Fit would sell, because I don't use it anymore because I have the Gear Live. And before finding out about Swappa, I would have used eBay, which has a bunch of fees that cut into the cash you earn from a sale. On Swappa, the seller pays no fee. Listing the Fit took 5 minutes. I got to see how much other people charged for similar devices in the past, and I got my hand held the whole way by a Swappa representative, which was helpful because I had to bring down the price a couple times because no one loves the Gear Fit but me. And even I sold it. But anyway, it eventually did sell and everyone was happy. So if you want to go be happy, visit swappa.com/pocketnow to sell your own stuff and tell them we sent you.
That's fantastic, though. I didn't realize there were no fees involved for sellers. That's great.
That is very true.
Craigslist level shit right there.
I feel really bad for the person who buys that thing, because the Gear Fit is a real piece.
The Gear Fit is an underappreciated masterpiece, and I'll thank you to be respectful of it.
Okay.
I'm kind of thinking I might like the Gear Fit now after my experience with the Martian Notifier, and I want a little bit more, but maybe not necessarily the whole Android Wear experience. Fit seems about my speed.
That's right. No, I don't think you're wrong about any of that. Before we go any further, Stephen basically saved the podcast before by reminding me to have everyone hit their damn record button. Stefan, you are recording on your third-party app there?
Confirmed.
That is terrific news. Thank you for being on the team. When Taylor shows up, by the way, Taylor Martin's going to join us later on today, folks. He's finishing an editorial right now. But when he rolls up, it's going to be great. So let's get to announcements, and let's see how far we can get, because we have a goal today to do a 90-minute podcast. I don't know if we're going to hit it, but we're going to – you stop laughing, Stephen. See, Stefan comes from the world of 50-minute podcasts or less, and I really admire your brevity there. So we're going to try and be a little bit more like the voicemail. Thank you, Jules. A little announcement ding reminds us that we should proceed. Stephen, I understand you have some good news to deliver to an anonymous person.
Well, not anonymous for much longer here. We just wrapped up our latest in the series of, started being a month of giveaways, now becoming summer of giveaways at Pocketnow. This is the second time we've had the opportunity to hand out a Huawei Ascend Mate 2 4G LTE. That's always a mouthful.
Say it all. The whole brand name. What are you holding up there, Stefan? Do you have one?
Yeah, I received a review unit about 2 weeks ago, and I love this thing except for the notification panel. Everything else about it is amazing.
Yeah, the software I have some qualms with, but the fact that you have a white one is really cool. Hold that up again for us, because we've been giving away the black ones, and we haven't really seen the white one. So once again, they've gone with the glossy finish on the white, like many manufacturers do. Matte apparently not being popular for the white, but don't know what color we're giving away, but we're giving one away for free. Steven, resume.
Yeah, with no further ado, our winner is Mr. Dennis Miller. I love your show, sir.
No kidding. Wow, a touch of fame.
Dennis E. Miller. We will be in touch shortly, sir, with getting you instructions on having this sent out to you, so stay tuned.
That is terrific.
Yeah.
I am very glad. This phone we reviewed for a while, and we really, really enjoyed the fact that it never, ever died. Now, are you reviewing it, Stefan?
Yes, I am. Well, review is a strong word. I don't review it in the sense that Pocketnow produces excellent video content and long-form articles. I just go on Twitter and say, this is awesome and this is shit, and just constantly. So that's my
You don't
value.
even need to have experience with the phones to do that, though. You can just send those opinions out there.
Yeah,
That's true.
we do that a lot. It's just like, hey, let's have a round table and discuss what we just saw. Half of us will hate it. This isn't the only giveaway that we have to announce today either. We're doing like simultaneous giveaways as well. We have a whole new storefront at Pocketnow called Pocketnow Deals, which is pretty much the most original name I've ever heard. And Stephen, what are we giving away there?
A whole bunch of money. Well, not cash, but the next best thing here, for at least for all of you Android fans out there, we have a lot of individual giveaways here, totaling up to $1,000 worth of Google Play credit. So you have a lot of opportunities to win. Even if you don't get the $150 first place, there's a $100 runner-up and a boatload of $50 third place awards. So get your entry in there. And best of luck to you. You can get some nice apps. You can even use this credit towards the purchase of a device. This isn't just app or media only. So you want to get some Nexuses. Yeah.
I did not know that. I didn't know you could use it in the devices section of the
So they say, yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
I just need to interrupt for 1 second. Stephen,
Yes.
is that a White Castle coffee cup?
It is.
I am very pleased. I forgot my Star Trek Scotty coffee mug today, so Stephen wins the mug prize of the day. Before we move on to the non-giveaway discussion items, I want to say that we sort of talked about this. We didn't actually make a plan to do anything about it. But Stefan, you and I have been talking about doing a giveaway, and in fact, folks, TabDump, who we'll hear from a little bit later, is going to be sponsoring the next official device giveaway. Do we want to, Stefan, tell people what they're going to be entering to win? We're not doing terms and conditions today, but do we want to tell people what the prize is going to be?
Absolutely. So, as Michael said, I have zero idea how we're going to run this contest, but when the contest runs, the winner will get to choose a 16 GB Nexus 5 of their color, whichever one you want, and a Android Wear smartwatch. Again, whichever one you want, either the Samsung or the LG.
Either the LG G Watch or the Samsung Gear Live, which I'm currently wearing, and that's what makes this giveaway really fun. We've given away the Nexus 5 before. It's fun. I bought one on Swappa, and I enjoy it, but giving it away paired with an Android Wear device is what actually captured my imagination for this, because you're getting like a mini ecosystem. You're getting your own wearable network, and I think it's a cool idea. So thank you for bringing the idea to us, Stefan. And when are we announcing this? Monday?
According to Stephen, I think so, yeah. Is that right?
Coming up on Monday.
All right, Monday. So tune in to Pocketnow.com on Monday for another giveaway announcement. Obviously, they will continue to roll on after that, but I particularly like this one. This is one I would enter to win. So come back for that. Just to close out the announcements, the Taylor Martin has an excellent piece, which I was going to ask him about on the air, but since he's not here yet, it's called "The Evolution of the Smartphone." He takes this from 1982 to the present day in a wonderful rambling text piece, and it's just terrific. So please. Go check that out at Pocketnow. And also the Amazon Fire Phone review just went live today.
Boy, howdy.
This is why Stephen is the Fire Phone defender, because just before that piece went live, Stephen took issue with my score. And in the greatest tradition of a publication with more than one person, I took his advice, and I raised that review score by 1/10 of 1%.
But yeah, it was enough to you hit it over that threshold there to 7, and I think that's all the difference in the world.
I really didn't want, I actually specifically wanted it just below 7 because that's where I initially felt it wasn't. But you know what? It is a good point. If you take it for all that it is, and not necessarily what you want it to be from a Android user's perspective or from an iOS ecosystem devotee's perspective, there really is no better way to get the Amazon experience than on that device, and that's wonderful. And if you want to call it a barcode scanner, you can do that, and you're not necessarily wrong. But the thing is, it's not a bad device. The thing that's wrong with it is the price.
And that battery life, though.
Battery life is right, especially when we're giving away the Huawei, which lasts 4 days. Stefan, have you had any hands-on experience with the Fire Phone, or I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you are not a giant fan?
I have absolutely zero interest in this thing. I run by the philosophy of you should purchase a device that just works for you. And every review I've seen of the Fire Phone has said, yeah, it's a little bit buggy and it's not really complete. So I would advise people to buy a phone from an ecosystem that's already well established, either Android or iOS.
Now, there's been some talk earlier today about something similar, but Stephen, go ahead.
I just know there's some Amazon engineer somewhere where every day his boss sends him this new list of bug reports or something. It's supposed to be buggy. It's got Firefly. And then everyone hates him.
Like that joke.
There's a piece that's been floating around. I think someone over at ZDNet actually wrote. I'm sorry I don't have it linked here, but talking about the ecosystem question, Stefan, it's interesting you bring that up because BGR ran a story that I clicked on, and it was like, here's the case against Windows Phone. And I'm like, sweet, I'll read this article. And then it's basically like a 4-paragraph summation of the ZDNet piece with a link to that. I'm like, oh, it's that kind of, okay, and that's what we're doing? All right. So I went over there, and then I really enjoyed the piece, even though it was basically saying that this author, who I continue to feel bad about not being able to quote directly, was saying that he didn't see a life for Windows Phone after the next 2 or 3 years is up. And it's not a future I want to envision, but it's a compelling case he makes. So head over there if you want to read that. We'll drop the link in the description afterwards if we remember to do it.
I love your pronunciation of that site's name, by the way. This is one of those things, I read it all the time, and in my head it sounds a certain way, and then I hear someone else say it, and it sounds like it's a pasta site.
What's it sound like to you? What does it sound like to you? Like ZDNet or something? That's what I said.
You said ZDNet.
ZDNet. Oh. Does anybody own ZD.net? ZITI.net?
Someone's about to.
I want to buy it. All right. Before we get too carried away with ourselves, let's jump into the news, Stephen, because we're on a mission today. This ain't no joke. We're already getting the Q&As piled up. Everyone, thank you for submitting those. I want to let you know that, yes, this is the first podcast I've done with the hat on. I don't particularly like it, but this is kind of an F-it day for me. My roommate of 3 years has just moved out. We drove her to the airport this morning. I'm feeling a little lonely.
I dressed up for the podcast today. I put on a buttoned shirt and everything.
You are very fancy indeed.
Cereal.
Well, you know,
I usually just run around screaming, pounding my chest, not wearing a goddamn thing. So
that's
you
good.
You guys,
that works too.
I'm really I noticed you didn't have any product in your hair, Stefan. I didn't want to say anything. Next time you show up, please make a little.
Yeah, I stopped using product when I was like 14, unlike you, Mr. Christian.
All right, Steven, tell us what's been going on in the world.
Yes, sir. News this week. Facebook has been up to its old shenanigans again now. It's been pushing users away from this all-in-one Facebook app experience, trying to drive them to Messenger for their chat. So you have to have a separate app for IM. You do all your profile management in the main Facebook app itself. And we've been hearing about this for a while, and there's been some pressure towards it, but now it's starting to happen en masse. This is for iOS and Android we're talking about now, where if you want to keep chatting with your friends instead of just posting to their wall, you have to switch back and forth between apps. Is it going to be really annoying? It depends on how much you use Facebook, and I guess how well you like the multitasking on your platform of choice. The functionality has not changed, it's just slightly different how you're going to go about accessing it. So, I don't know. I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world. What do you guys think?
Well, there's 3 parts of this whole thing, right? There's the usability question, and then there's the privacy question from 2 perspectives. From a usability standpoint, my other roommate was complaining about this the other day, and I frankly don't get it. I find that the Facebook messaging app is much faster, it's much more useful as a devoted messaging app that can toss up chat heads at me. I think it's better suited to that package. So I don't really understand the argument against it other than I got to download another app that clears up my phone. I don't know. What do you think, Stefan?
So I don't remember when exactly this happened, but I think it was half a year ago. A former Apple genius posted a blog post saying if you're having terrible iPhone battery life, you should take steps A, B, C, D. And the very, very first step was uninstall the Facebook app. So if I want to check Facebook on my phone, I just go to m.facebook.com. I don't even use the app. So whether I mean, am I going to install Messenger? No. You can text me like everybody else.
Fight the
and
good
that's my
fight.
view
I
on
like that.
Dear God, you guys, and Stefan, is this a policy that you instituted on or before your 45th birthday? I mean, fill us in on the details there.
Well, since I switched to Android, and Android can tell you how much percentage of your battery an app is using, and I saw Facebook rank way up there. I was like, F this is gone.
No
Screw
way.
you.
See, that's funny because I never see that. I actually don't see excessive battery consumption thanks to my Facebook app, and maybe that's because I've had the Messenger app installed for a very long time, and actually I don't see that up there in battery consumption either. It's always like screen, and then those wonderfully helpful categories like Android OS and Android system. I'm like, oh, that's the phone is taking up all the phone's battery. Oh, thank you. That makes it much more clear. The listeners who have been listening for the past, 8 weeks or so will know that, of course, my secondary screen is a Lumia 2520, which is busy continuing to get the worst press we've ever given it. I love this device all the time, except when I'm on the podcast when it won't load a web page to save its life. But anyway, there are links in the show notes to a counterpoint about this Messenger kerfuffle, because Huffington Post, along with some others, ran a great story about, hey, you guys should remember to read the terms of service that you're agreeing to when you download an app like this, because the list of permissions that the Facebook app demands, or the Facebook messaging app demands, is quite ominous. Does anybody happen to have the rundown up to take a look at it? Because
I don't have it, but I've heard on Twitter, so it has to be true, that when you install the app, it will upload your entire address book to Facebook servers, which, honestly, that's how every other chat app works.
This does not sound very surprising.
But,
yeah, I've actually managed to get the list thanks to the magic of LTE. This app does the following things, and this is all from the release notes. Allows the app to change the state of network connectivity. Okay, whatever. Allows the app to call phone numbers without your intervention. Allows the app to send SMS messages without your confirmation. Allows the app to record audio at any time without your confirmation. Allows the app to take pictures and videos with the camera without your confirmation at any time. Read data about your contacts, personal profile information, blah, 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 blah. Every single term followed by the qualifier without your confirmation. I mean, I understand why this is worth talking about. That's a very frightening bit of phraseology, isn't it?
This is Facebook we're talking about. This is like complaining that the ocean is wet.
Right. But when you think about that, you don't necessarily. You think about Facebook saying, okay, we are going to take your friend list and we're going to pull information from that, and we're going to see if we can determine who you want to hear from more often, and then we're going to sell that information to advertisers in some kind of very simple scheme to make a buck. Like, that's what you expect. You don't expect to download an app that says, if you install me, I will turn on your camera at any time and use it at any time without telling you. Right? I mean, that's creepy, isn't it?
Well, I think we have to try to look for what's the intended purpose there. Like, is there something in the app where it can pull up your front facer, take a selfie, and send the pic to someone? Because you wouldn't want it popping up a separate confirmation like the app's about to use your camera. Do you want to let it do this? No, I want to give it the permissions when I install it, then never have to worry about that again.
Well, Stephen, it's very interesting you put it that way. OnTheMedia.org has the counterpoint to this whole thing. Why Facebook Messenger wants access to your phone's microphone. And there's a wonderful counterpoint. And again, we've linked them both, but yeah, that's basically it. Facebook's Messenger app wants to be your surrogate texting and phone calling application.
Send in a voice message or something.
Right. Of course, it needs permission to access your microphone. Of course, it needs permission to access your camera. It would be like a Windows Vista experience if you were constantly trying to send a picture message, and then Facebook Messenger was like, "You just asked me to send a picture message. Do you really want me to do it?" FedEx is here, gentlemen. Debate this amongst yourselves while I go get a Galaxy S5 Sport.
Ooh! Someone has a friend at Sprint today.
This is just a perfect reason why you should go to m.facebook.com on your phone. There are no permissions. It's just a website. You want to see your friends' baby photos and what they're eating for dinner, and that's really it.
So it might be gathering less information from your phone directly, but there's still a lot of stuff that you're sending out to Facebook when you're telling it about yourself, and it knows who you're friends with. So it still has a lot of information about you, even if it's not constantly monitoring your microphone. I just think that if you've bought into Facebook, you've already made certain sacrifices regarding your personal privacy, and I don't see this. I mean, there's happened times in the past where Facebook's changed its privacy rules, and there's been a reason to get concerned. I don't think this is one of those times. This just seems like we're noticing all these things because we're being, shuffled onto a different app. I think this is a, mountain molehill situation. But now I really want to see what's in this. Oh yeah, cut that open. Sorry to all you guys who are listening to the podcast now rather than seeing it. Michael is.
I just stabbed this FedEx
package.
Yeah, I just stabbed this like a seal that offended my family. This is the Galaxy S5 Sport from Samsung, coming to me from Sprint.
We have not talked about this guy too much.
We haven't because I requested the review unit forever ago. They were like, "We'll get it out to you," and then it was quiet for a long time.
Back in like June.
I actually don't know how long. Has it been on retail shelves for that long?
I don't know. Take a look.
I don't know either.
Is this the camouflage phone?
No, that's the Galaxy S5 Active, which AT&T has. That's an exclusive. This is the sort of Sprint answer to that. And I am going to do a proper unboxing, and this box is covered in labels with phone numbers that I don't want to broadcast. So I'm going to save that event for then, but I will pull it out for just a very quick preview for those watching. For those listening, this device comes in a very fetching shade of metallic blue. It still retains the sort of golf ball dots on the backside.
I really like the look of these two.
Yeah, I don't mind this so much. And then the front side has the physical buttons below the display. Otherwise, it's basically a thicker Galaxy S5. In terms of hardware, we're going to talk a lot more about it on the unboxing. But it's here, and it's warm from a FedEx truck in the summertime. Don't you?
Now you can see if you can break this one as well.
Yeah, I have some really bad luck with phones that claim they're waterproof. We will see.
Technically, it's already broken because it runs on Sprint.
Oh, damn! That hurt my whole soul. Oh, Taylor Martin, welcome to the podcast.
I know that guy.
Hey.
How are you doing, buddy?
Not bad. I can't hear myself.
Well,
I like to hear myself. So.
I can hear you just fine. I'm glad you're here, and we have just gotten into the news segment. I've just run down the stairs to get a Galaxy S5 Sport, and I missed what Stephen and Stefan have said about Facebook Messenger. I will have to listen to the Pocketnow Weekly Podcast to get the gist of it, because we're going to move on to a round smartwatch. I don't know who else is excited about this, but I got to tell you, the hardware on the Oneplus One is pretty much the most exciting thing about that thing to me. So if this is real, I might like this. Stephen, what's the story here?
That's a very big if. So this leak surfaced just yesterday, I believe. It might have been 2 days ago. A smartwatch from OnePlus, supposedly called the One Watch, and it looks really, really nice. It kind of looks like might even be a slightly more desirable watch than the Moto 360. It's got that round face again, supposed to be an Android Wear device. It may have a sapphire display, like we've been talking about for Apple's iWatch, if that ever happens, but this combination of the round screen, the sapphire, it might have interchangeable, well, the band situation is tricky. The picture we saw shows a leather band, and it looks like it'd be easily swappable. But then the sketches, these design notes that arrived alongside the leak, also mention a curved battery that seems to be living in the band. Now, from the render we've seen, it's not at all obvious how that would work, because it looks kind of very loosely connected, like the normal single pin connecting it to the watch body, like you normally see for straps. So
Same time.
I don't know if we're looking at like an old design, new one, but
it looks like the sketch somebody did like in the library when they got this idea on the closest, parapsychology book they could find.
Well, we've seen this sort of thing from OnePlus before. They released a bunch of design sketches for the One back before the phone launch.
I'm sorry, but the source of this leak is Boy Genius Report, which hasn't reported an exclusive since about 1948. So I don't buy it at all. I'm calling it total BS.
And we saw that fake with the OnePlus tablet that ended up being a hoaxer.
Yeah, but then the state of the hoax was called into question. There was a big fight about that thing, so I don't know.
It was a 14-year-old Filipino kid who punked evidence.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay, because I remember there being some follow-up to that where it was like, fake or not.
So now
you
maybe
decide.
AvLeaks has learned its lesson, so someone's trying to pull the strings at BGR and seeing what they can get by there. The render, it's a screenshot from the OnePlus website, supposedly, I guess, an internal version where they're trying this. And it kind of looks real enough, but then at the same time, we don't get to see very much. It's just from behind, and again, what we're seeing in the render doesn't exactly match those design sketches either. Those, I think, seem a little more legitimate.
This render, it looks pretty. It looks cool to me. Like, if this is a fake, it's cool, a really good fake. I love it when people make good fakes, because like this looks like the site design makes sense. The 3 dots below the watch, so you can see it from different angles. Like,
I also kind of feel though that there's nothing about this that screams smartwatch. This could have been someone just found a picture of a watch from some random site and photoshopped that OnePlus logo on the back, because that's all we see here.
That's a solid point.
I mean, to me, it kind of looks off center. Maybe that's just me. Maybe it's the angle, but the OnePlus logo on the back of the watch body itself.
It's south of middle, yeah.
Oh yeah, but it's got to make room for that plus up there, bro.
Plus could be.
And there's no crown on the side, like we see
asymmetrical, as though it is strutting down the sidewalk with a stylish cane.
I like how we're discussing how legitimate this render looks
on the podcast.
I don't even know if it's actually like real or not. So.
Oh yeah, that's what we do. That's the news, Taylor. This is hard reporting. You understand? Before we get too enmeshed in that, I included it because it's interesting. I think the only thing you need to do, as I said in the intro, is make your smartwatch round if you want to get immediately noticed.
Yeah.
First of all, it's going to look like the Moto 360, but when the Moto 360 was the round smartwatch, that kind of blew us away in March.
The most important thing about this might be the response that we're seeing. Whether or not it's real, people really want to believe this thing is real.
Absolutely. Despite the damage OnePlus reputation has suffered thanks to its inability to fulfill orders and its quality control issues, people still want this thing. And I get it, because it's a manufacturer that is going to try and commit to delivering something, cheaply, that looks good. So, I don't know. I won't dismiss this out of hand, but in any case. Let's talk about something that is real, shall we? The HTC J Butterfly new edition is the waterproof One M8 you've always wanted. I like that headline, Steven.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
What's the story on it?
Yeah, so in the past, we've seen these Butterfly models arrive in Japan. The first one was before the original HTC One launched. We got this. It sort of went Droid DNA, then Butterfly, then, or was that the year before? Am I getting my years wrong here?
So the Droid DNA that launched in 2011, and then HTC launched 1 and 7.
That's the year.
And then the Butterflies in 2012.
Right. But so we've always had this separate, it's like companion line to HTC's Western flagships.
Yeah, that Taylor and I went to that event. We were covering it separately. He was covering it for Phone Dog, and I was covering it for Pocketnow, and we were seat neighbors.
That's back in the long ago.
The big discussion back then was, is the Droid DNA... Yeah, we definitely did. We wanted to hug it out and simultaneously knee each other in the sensitive man parts. But also, the big discussion was, it was the first 5-inch screen, the first 1080p screen that we'd seen, and the question was, is this a phablet or not? This gives you an impression of where this was in the timeline, because all you needed.
5 inches, that's crazy big.
5 inches? What? You're like, yeah, it's like a Galaxy Note. No.
But this guy, the new J Butterfly, is pretty substantial. I mean, I've already seen people complaining about these top and bottom bezels on it. It's hideous. Kind of big looking, yeah. But it's waterproof.
What's the beef with the bezels? I don't understand what people are saying is too big. I mean, HTC phones are always big to accommodate the boom sound.
Yeah, well, it's very noticeable, I think, this time.
That one doesn't have giant speaker grills for boom sound, so there's that, but it probably has the amplification chambers. So.
Well, it's waterproof, so that's the thing. They've got to I wonder what compromises they've had to make in boom sound to accommodate the waterproofing, because hey, man, speakers don't like getting wet. Whenever you get a waterproof phone wet and you try and play music on it afterwards, it's for an hour, Stefan, were you trying to say something before?
Other than the fact that the phone is hideous and it probably will not be sold outside of Japan, no.
You don't think so? Well, all right, hold on. There's an important part to this besides the fact that it's waterproof. It has a duo camera.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. I think it's weird that HTC brought it back for this. I kind of felt like it didn't really mesh with users when the One M8 came out, and we haven't seen it on these other devices like the Mini. And I kind of felt HTC realized what it did there, and it wasn't working. But it's
those other devices are, they're low end except for the E8.
I know.
Yeah, like this.
Still not on the E8.
Yeah, but the E8 is also made to be a cheaper M8 in part, So it's like this is not a low-end device, this J Butterfly, and it's just fascinating to me that they put a duo sensor and made it to a 13-megapixel sensor, and I really hope it's not the same sensor that we've seen on those low-end devices.
It is. It's HTC. Come on, they don't have a huge inventory of components. It's like, all right, we got 13-megapixel sensors by the truckload. Let's just use those.
Yeah, I tend to think that you're right on that. And we will be getting a review device of this one. I don't know when, but we are going to make it a point to get our hands on it. So we'll find out then.
Have you discussed what those little white dots around the sensor are?
I was looking at that. Do we know
what are they and where are they located relative to the lens?
I thought that might just be a lens effect or something, like making it look shiny for the render.
There are four
that doesn't make sense.
Tiny white dots circling the perimeter of the lens. I think that might be glaring. Yeah, exactly. I think if you were to zoom in on that, you would see like maybe there's a moire pattern on the camera module perimeter, and the light is just the fake light from the fake 3D source. It's just glinting off the fake surface of this fake phone.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not like the double flash on the Moto X One, which we saw. Right. In which I'm still looking forward to finding out more about. But let's stick with HTC. This J Butterfly doesn't excite me so much. I get the sense that that's the case on at least 75% of the rest of the podcast. So I want to ask about this phone that's not going to excite any of y'all at all, but which I am really amped about. Steven, tell us why in the name of hell we should believe the next HTC phone is going to be a Windows phone running One M8.
I wasn't sure about this one for a while. So this is a rumor. We heard about it with the One M7 last year. We heard about it earlier this year, and we were first learning about the One M8, that HTC would finally get back into the Windows Phone game after the 8X and the 8S, and I guess it was like an 8XT we got like a year after, but there hasn't been much in the way of high-end hardware from HTC on the Windows Phone side. So this idea that it could take its very desirable Android phone and Windows Phoneify, it's been really compelling. And the idea popped back up about a week ago. Like Tom Warren just tweeted out, "Oh, hey guys, this is still happening." Everyone's kind of attention peaked, and then in the days that followed, there's been this continued discussion. Oh, it's going to come not just this quarter, but maybe next month. And now, most recently, we saw the phone showed up in a European like FCC-like database where it's showing a lot of band support. And most importantly, now we have a model number that really seems like a new HTC Windows Phone device.
This is what's sold it for me.
No evidence. This is happen.
Okay, what's really important here, and the key to this, is HTC has officially said that there will be a press event on August 19th.
Right.
And if you check all the sites that were invited, it's like Win Supersite, Windows Phone Central, Win, Windows XYZ. So, I mean, it's pretty obvious.
And crucially, Windows Phone Central actually did a post. Daniel Rubino was like, "Hey guys, put the pieces together. We got an invite, and Phil Nickinson from Android Central did not.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you?" So yeah, very good point there, Stefan. Yeah, this is. But I like Steven's detective work on the old serial numbers here, which is like laid it out for me and in plain terms, because the HTC 8X for Verizon, or the 8X in general, was model 6990. And this model number is what?
6995.
95. Yes.
Cut from the same cloth.
Yes. I am very excited. We're going to this event. It's going to be a great time. I don't care what it actually is. I'm going to make it a great time. The event itself, the phone obviously we're going to review, but I'm just excited. We've been talking about a Windows phone running One M8 for so long that to see it maybe materialize finally is, gets me quite excited.
Hot and bothered.
So you're excited about the fact that HTC does not have enough engineering resources to design a brand new phone. They just have to take whatever Android phone they have.
No, I wouldn't say that at all. I'm excited that they're taking a phone that has been very well received on one platform and porting it to another platform that is traditionally underrepresented. That's what I'm happy about.
Okay, I will give you that.
I understand where you're coming from, though, and I like your about. Normally, I'm the negative one. It's good to have you here for this little seesaw effect. Actually, but with your powers combined with Taylor's, I'm a little concerned. But while we're talking about this, let's talk a little bit about Windows Phone 8.1 and what we can expect from Update 1, because it seems a little early for me. We're still in the middle of the Windows Phone 8.1 rollout.
Yeah.
Steven, beyond folders, what are we talking about here?
Not much, but it's a nice. Like I said, it's nice to see the update coming. Well, maybe not nice, but it's interesting to see the update coming so soon after they just pushed the button on that public release of Windows Phone 8.1 in general. And now Microsoft announced Update 1. It's interesting because it's not available just yet. They're giving us advanced warning, which might be, well, I mean, we got it about the actual platform, but for the smaller updates, we're not used to seeing this sort of heads up from Microsoft. That's interesting. Yeah, we're getting folders on your home screen, or start screen because it's Windows Phone. You'll be able to group your apps together, and you can still see the individual live tile updates even though they're in the folder, so you can keep an eye on what's happening with those apps. Yeah, that's what it said.
Oh.
There's
That's
a lot of
a big
stuff.
deal.
I heard about like Bluetooth. Was it Bluetooth improvements? There might be some behind-the-scenes stuff. Cortana. Oh yeah. International availability of Cortana. We heard about this a little earlier. Apparently, it's going to be tied to the 8.1 Update 1 distribution. So England's getting it. China's getting it with this whole new look. Like it's not. They're changing the little Cortana halo into this anthropomorphic blob character thing. I don't know, but it's weird. But at the same time, it might look a little goofy. Microsoft's apparently spending a lot of time getting the way it interacts with users down for these international audiences. It'll like respond to things that are relevant to them and talk to them in a natural way. The voice is changing. We heard earlier that
and my initial thought on that was like, what the hell? Like, Jen Taylor is the voice of Cortana. Why do this? But for international markets where Halo is not necessarily a big thing, I get why you want to do that. I mean, it's your voice assistant. You're not going to rename the voice assistant for different markets. It's still going to be.
I get it for China. I think I can understand why there's a little pushback in the UK. I mean, what do you gain from having it have a British accent? Besides feeling a little more natural to users there, but they hear American accents everywhere. And but a lot of.
I don't know. No, it was special to me when I got a Moto Crazer and its voice command in like 2006 because it was a UK phone. Was like calling Jeremy Lister. I'm like, oh, what a delight you are! This is so much fun. So yeah, I like different dialect support. I dig that.
I think that the key feature of Windows Phone 8.1 Update 1 that you guys probably skipped over is the fact that Internet Explorer on 8.1 Update 1 will now spoof its browser agent string to Safari on iOS.
Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah, I heard about this. We didn't report on this, but yeah.
Yeah, so the guys who actually write Internet Explorer for Windows Phone, they posted a blog post essentially showing screenshots of various websites in Windows Phone 8.1, Android, iOS, and Windows Phone 8.1 Update 1. And they're all like upset, like, oh, we have to put in these standards that Apple and Google use, and oh, it's not standards compliant. Well, I don't care if it's not standards compliant. You have like 2% market share, so you better make your browser render websites like every other damn Android and iPhone out there.
So they're changing the layout engine as well, right? So it's not just going to identify, but it's going to look like things do on iOS.
Yeah, it's going to look and identify as Safari on iOS, which is the crazy part.
It sounds like a really hinky like solution to the problem, because like the deal is like IE doesn't use WebKit as a rendering engine, right? It uses whatever. Yeah.
So I think it's called. Actually, no. Ignore me. I don't know what the hell it's called.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called either. But all I know is that like the browser on Windows Phone, which is arguably more important on Windows Phone if you are used to having the app resources from other platforms, and now you have to use the mobile side on Windows Phone. The browser is a less enjoyable experience for me. I like it. Certainly, it's very smooth and so on, but man, it doesn't render pages the way I want them to, and like I have to wait for an entire page to load, because if I don't, the page will constantly redraw itself, and the link I will go to tap will change locations in the half second before my finger gets it. Like, it's the most frustrating thing. It's one of my least favorite corners of Windows Phone. So I wonder how many problems this will solve or if it will just crop up a whole bunch of additional ones. I'm a little scared about this change.
We're going to have all these websites optimized for Windows Phone that's going to suddenly break and they're going to look awful.
I found something in the comments, and I can't confirm it because obviously I haven't used it, but there's someone in the comments saying that it actually brings the auto hide feature for the status bar back. So I don't know where that's coming from. That's just something that someone is saying. So
where the status bar in Windows Phone will once again disappear. It will not be persistent when you're in the web browser.
Yeah, or just in general.
Just in general. Oh wait. Oh, that you've been talking about this update package, not necessarily the change to Internet Explorer.
Yeah.
Right.
That would be interesting to see them reverse course on that so much. Certainly, that's something we've complained about a lot. Where it's like, that was one of the things I liked about the Fire Phone. The status bar is invisible unless you rotate the thing, and then you're like, okay, there it is, and then you rotate it back, and now it's gone. Like, I like a clean screen like that. And I don't know why Windows Phone backtracked. So to see them do another 180 would be actually really kind of nice. The other Cortana changes are Cortana's getting smarter. They've been advertising this alongside Siri. You can ask Cortana, "Where am I?" which is like awesome because now it can tell you information about your location, some extras like what's around you and stuff. It seems like such a basic query, but not a lot of voice interfaces support it. I think Google Now only recently learned how to tell me how to get home a couple months ago or something like that. Take me home. Flight information, the usual stuff we're used to from Google Now.
It's a nowification. I mean, not that Cortana wasn't very nowish to begin with, but just further going off that natural language processing.
Keeping up with the catch-up game that Microsoft keeps playing. Yeah.
Boy,
Stefan, go ahead.
I would just say that Cortana is actually, I would rank Cortana above Siri and Google Now because it's the intelligence of Google Now combined with Siri, but at the same time it has personality, which Google Now completely lacks.
Oh, I'm with you on that. That's been my big frustration with Google Now from the beginning. Yeah, I like a personality to talk with. I don't think a lot of people agree with us, though, Stefan. I've had a lot of pushback on that, where people are like, no, I want it just to be a tool. I want to talk to it like the robot that it is. And I don't know. I wonder
what... Well, those people are tools, so...
I think it might be in that tool. Great theater. But that's interesting, Stefan. That you mentioned that comparison, because we saw on some analyst report in the last couple of weeks that was looking like an itemized analysis of Siri and Google Now, asking them questions, seeing not only how well they were able to recognize voice, but then how accurate their responses were. And it showed they've both been getting better. Google Now has been getting better a little faster, but it didn't evaluate Cortana at all. So I'd be really curious to see how that would fare, and also if we could find some easy way to evaluate how much personality affects your interactions with the system. But I think that's something we need to see compared now.
It's a really good question. I agree with you. And rather than a lot of advertisements espousing the superiority of one voice assistant over the other, it would be nice to see some analysis on that. Some would argue that that job would fall to a site like Pocketnow.com. We're going to think about that. We'll think about that and see. Let's scratch our heads on that one. Before we jump into TabDump, which is going to be a lot of fun because it's going to give us a little bit of variety in our news program, I'm sort of spreading out the Q&As. If you want to submit Q&As, folks, we'll get to roughly 5% of them. But if your questions are popular enough, they get voted to the top. I know. Where is your spiky lethal hair, Michael? Varun Indana asks. I'm sorry. I wore the hat today because it's a bit of an off day here in the booth, and I just didn't have the time to do the work necessary. I'm also not 14 anymore. Do you think the Xperia Z3 Compact is going to be a successful product? Asks Shundinator. I'm going to throw this to you guys because I just love answering questions about the Z3 Compact because it got the leaked photos landed yesterday, right?
Yeah, they're kind of weird though. They don't exactly line up with what we saw before, so I don't know if we're actually looking at the Z3 Compact, but if we're just taking it on face value, it sounds kind of awesome. But then again, Sony's had awesome sounding phones before that don't necessarily do that well because of availability issues, especially here in the States. So even if it's great, I don't know if it will be a successful phone.
I'm with you on that.
Sony just published their Q2 numbers either today or yesterday. I'm not 100% sure on that. And they sold fewer phones this quarter than they did in the same quarter a year ago. Also, the key thing is they revised their 2014 shipment estimates from 50 million smartphones to 43. So even Sony is acknowledging, we're not going to sell as many phones as we wanted to. As for the Z3 Compact, I mean, absolutely, it would be awesome to have a 4.6-inch phone, but
I've got a question for you, Stefan. As someone who spent some time overseas, a great deal of time overseas, and has now kind of transplanted back to the United States, how much success do you think Sony would find if it struck more carrier partnerships, like, say, with any carrier that's not the smallest one in the United States?
That's pretty much the only thing holding them back.
You think so? You think there'd be a wave of adoption if they were on AT&T?
Let's be serious. Americans are not going to drop $700 on an unlocked phone. It is not happening at all. So unless they can find themselves an operator partner, it doesn't matter how good they make phones, they're not going to sell here.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that. I just wonder if, it finally gets to shelves, say it's on AT&T and Verizon, say they make a CDMA LTE version for Verizon, and which has been rumored a couple times for the Z2, I think. Is that still happening?
That's not going to happen.
No. So, but say that it did. I'm not convinced that. I think Sony's brand awareness here in mobile is so low that it would take them like a year at least just to do one of those like We Are HTC ads from 2009, like just to be like, hey, everyone, we're Sony, we make awesome stereos, but did you know we also make cell phones that are pretty badass?
It's so easy to use their brand synergy. Have like a banner ad that pops up when you boot on your PlayStation 4, like, hey, buy the new Xperia phone. Well, if you say so, Sony. I mean, take advantage of this.
Yeah.
Especially here, I'm not exactly sure how it works in Best Buy, but if you buy a really large Samsung HD TV, they're going to throw in a Samsung phone or tablet in that purchase for free. And Sony, they could do the exact same thing. If you buy a Sony HD TV, we'll give you a Sony smartphone and a Sony tablet.
At the same time, like, I don't think that that's ever really been the way to door-busting success. I mean, we were talking this talk back when Microsoft was gearing up to launch Windows 8, and I will own up to it. I was like, this could actually be a cool thing, because imagine what would happen. It's like, okay, we're going to sell you a computer that has this interface. It's the same interface that you're going to use on your phone. There's going to be some kind of synergy there, and it's like, it's from the same people. I want the same thing in this hand and on my desk, and I don't know that a lot of people are saying that.
True.
Certainly they're not saying it about Xbox and Windows Phone. Go ahead, Taylor.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Oh, never mind.
Well, go ahead. I mean, you have to.
But please go ahead anyway, yeah. I want to let everyone know that I'm wearing one of those sweet Moto X tattoos on my wrist.
You got those?
Yeah.
It looks like a mole.
It does, and actually, like, as time goes on, the sticker picks up dirt. You can't really see it on the camera, but the sticker picks up dirt, so it looks like...
one of those gross Band-Aids.
Yeah. But I'm on day 2, and it's going strong. I'm going to have another shower after this podcast. I'll let y'all know how it goes. Do you want a live update from the shower? I'll give it to you.
I'd prefer not to have that.
All right. Well, fun fact about these: we asked for 10 because I'm like, okay, I'll try them out for 2 weeks. I'll get 10.
10 packs of 10.
Yeah, they give me 10 packs of 10, so I have 100 of these. So maybe we'll give some away. If you Moto X carriers on the podcast want to try these out, let us know. We'll see what we can do about a giveaway. If you review the podcast or something like that, you should review the podcast, by the way, on iTunes. Anyway, I want to give the floor briefly for about 10 minutes to Stefan Constantinescu, who's going to tell us the top tabs of the week from his website, TabDump, which is just a fun place to go. This is not a paid spot, by the way. This is for your enjoyment, listeners, viewers, and co-hosts. Stefan, take it away. Let us know what's been happening.
All right, so on July 28th, this is tab number 8, the BBC uploaded a photo of an interview from the CEO of a company who creates software that he sells to stores that can track where you are simply based on free Wi-Fi. And this video is just like insane. It shows actual people in real time walking around the store, and if you click accept, as in if you go to collect your free Wi-Fi, it will somehow, I don't know, it will pull in your Facebook information, your Twitter information, your profile photo, and this is actual commercial software. So it's a 6.5-minute video, which I know is a stretch for some of you, but you're used to Pocketnow reviews, and they're like 10 minutes long and totally,
like
totally worth it.
7.5 minutes long, but yes, you're right.
On the same day, tab number 12, Wired, they published an article where one of the journalists there, he was helping his friend change house, and he took a photo of her key, her actual apartment key, and he used an application to create a duplicate of said key.
I am honestly warning people about this. This is great.
Yeah, I have never heard of this at all, and I read this article, and it was just like, oh wow,
it was horrifying. Yeah, I retweeted this, and I was like, my God! And the people who were quick to defend all things techno were like, you could do the same thing with a clay mold in your pocket. It would take 2 seconds. Yeah, true, but I don't need to buy a clay mold if I want to do this. I need to buy an app.
And I don't carry clay around in my pocket. Just
right.
Like it's
amazing though how often you see these like Lifehacker will run. We do this like what did I carry at CES, where people showing what's in their bag, what do they use on a daily basis, and they have this super high-res photo of their keychain. We know who you are, and you can Google, find out where they live, and you have, the key. It's a physical embodiment there is the password. If you know what heights the cuts are done, you just grind a new one out. You have a perfect copy there. It's really, really scary.
It is scary. I always avoid showing my keys when I have to feature a keychain thing in a review or something there, because it's just terrifying. Anyway, Stefan, sorry, you've got a limited time. We're talking over it. Keep going.
That's fine. Okay, on July 30th, the information started by former Wall Street Journal employees. They corroborated what Android police have said. There will be a Nexus phablet coming out this year, and we'll talk about it at some point. But in that article, all the way on the bottom, was a paragraph that apparently nobody seemed to care about. The guy in charge of the Android Silver program, Hitesh Arora, he's gone. So everyone's starting to say, is the Silver program dead? Are we going to see carriers start selling high-end Android phones running stock Android? I don't know. Something to consider.
It is indeed. We have a question in the Q&A queue dealing with this. Do you guys think the rumored 5.9-inch Moto Nexus could be able to fit on a smaller size device like the LG G3? If so, what do you think is the smallest it could go? Guys, I'm going to throw this back to the asker unless anyone understands the question. Does
I think the person asking the question wants to understand if it's possible to create a 5.9-inch screen phone that is the same physical footprint of the 5.5-inch LG G3. And the LG G3 is pretty much all screen anyway, so...
that'd be tough. I don't have it right here, but yeah, it's like 80, 85, 90-something% screen on the front, so I highly doubt it.
Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah. Okay, now I understand the question. Okay, I don't know, but you know what? Motorola is no slacker in this regard. The Moto X had a lot of screen to face area, so I would say that anything's possible. Always good to hear from you as well. Screen to face. All right, Pablo, thank you for the question. Always good to hear from you, friend. Keep going, Stefan.
Okay, on July 31st, Facebook, in conjunction with Internet.org, said, hey, if you live in Zambia, we're going to give you Internet access for free with an asterisk. You can only access Facebook, Google, Wikipedia, AccuWeather, a couple of job hunting sites, and you can get some information about AIDS and HIV. And of course, every website was like, okay, this is great, fantastic, emerging markets, we're getting people online, this is great. But you're already starting to see it now. People are starting to publish thought pieces saying, oh, well, isn't this anti-net neutrality? If Facebook really cared about these people, they would give them access to the complete internet. So I just thought that was curious, because if Facebook came to the States and said, we're going to give everybody free internet, but they can only go on Facebook and Wikipedia, people's heads would explode. Like, this is not right, it's not allowed, it's not da-da-da-da. So
what would they do about Instagram?
That was interesting.
Yeah, it's a good point.
I'm gonna excuse you for a few minutes from the podcast because you're gonna go drool in the corner.
Yeah, I'm checking it out right now. Yeah, let's let Stefan keep going. I know what you're talking about. We're gonna hit it right after this segment is done. I got it right in my hand.
And the last announcement, TabDump, August 1st, today, tab number 7. It has been confirmed that the data center that Apple has been building is officially live. And apparently it is stupid fast because Apple has been doing what Netflix has been doing and paying both ISPs and I don't know what to call them, interconnect providers such as Level 3 and Akamai. So, yeah, I mean, Apple will pay to send you information as fast as they possibly can because they have a ton of cash, which is not surprising.
Yeah, and that piece that you posted on that, I was, I just, it's basically a piece that is like, it's like written pornography for people who value speed and bandwidth, because it's like, we checked out all these networks, and a lot of them are nearby me. It's like something .lowell, .mass, .boston, .mass. I'm like, oh wow, and it's just wide open. It's just like if you visualize the internet as a series of tubes, it is a massive, massive series of underground, wide open sewer pipes that no one is using that I really want to use real hard. But as you put it, we can get our Justin Bieber much faster now, yeah?
Yeah, I did not text I wrote on TabDump because, hey, this is a podcast and who the hell wants to see me reading something you can visit yourself, tabdump.com. So with that, I think we should talk about what we are talking about in the internal chat room.
Yeah, so we're talking. We're breaking news.
M8.
Yeah, Stephen, why don't we have you break this for us, news chief?
Yeah, on Verizon servers, an image of the HTC One M8 Windows phone we were just talking about has been unearthed. It's a beautiful-looking render. The file name says HTC M8 Windows, so it looks like that W8 name might not happen. And I can see a date here, one of the tiles, Friday the 22nd, so we might well see this thing announced on the 19th, and then it would get in stores just a few days later, at least the impression I'm getting here. But this thing, it's looked exactly like what we were hoping. What do you guys think?
It absolutely does. It is essentially, it may even be just a stock photo of the HTC One M8 with the Windows Phone OS graphic.
Being a Verizon server, there's no doubt this is the real deal.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, not that there was much doubt before, but this certainly clears some things up. I'm sorry, I should have locked the camera on Jules there. He's got the image up. Yeah, ss7.vzw.com. So it looks like, I think PC Mag might have broken that one, because Verge is sourcing them. But that's pretty cool. I think, we kind of talked about it before. We talked about our feelings on it. If this is indeed true, it holds. It holds a lot of water. It also makes sense to me because Verizon has been placing a big priority on making their devices world compatible. So you can use Verizon CDMA LTE at home
and all that. Yeah.
Exactly. When you travel abroad, you still have coverage. So, wow. And I mean, the hardware does look just exactly like the M8. So I do wonder about the
M8.
Yeah. But I wonder, though, now that we know that there is something like a 13-megapixel duo camera, I just want to speculate about the backside now. I'm like, would they upgrade that component for this? I don't think so.
Nah.
But sure would be an interesting surprise.
Michael Fisher's backside speculation is a whole different podcast that we need to,
That's a great website. You should go to it sometime. We have a lot of people in the audience with a pressing question. And I think it's about time to move into the next segment. Before we do, I want to ask Stephen, do you feel a compelling need to go handle that news real quickly, or do you want to stick around?
I can stick around. I'll get it as soon as we're off here.
Sounds good. Well, in that case, we're going to answer a pressing question posed to us very often. What phone should I buy? I really like this segment because it's just such a popular question. And anyone who tweets at us asking, which one should I get? I'm like, email the podcast. We'll answer on the air. It'll be fun. People in the Q&A, if you are feeling sprightly and quick on your feet, feel free to submit there as well. If you get enough upvotes for an awesome question, we'll go ahead and answer it. What a meritocracy the Q&A is. I didn't even realize it before, but if you ask weird questions like
action.
Yeah, if you ask weird questions like I would never get any questions answered because I'd be like, what do you think is the best clamshell phone? on the market right now.
The BlackBerry style.
The BlackBerry Passport.
Oh, the BlackBerry Passport. What are you going to say, Taylor? I pimped your piece before, by the way.
You what?
I pimped your piece before. Everyone knows to go look at your history of smartphones piece because it's really cool.
No, I was just referencing. That's the first clamshell phone that came to mind. But did you see? It was Phone Arena's video of the BlackBerry Passport. They got a hands-on with it, and they had a guy that was on the show floor giving the demo. I couldn't make it through the video. He was like, well, yeah, if you type, you can just, like, well, if, you know, like,
Oh, no.
well, I'm like,
It's a phone.
No.
this is bad. I felt so bad. John and I tweeted back and forth about it. It was just funny. He was like, I couldn't even, like, I wanted to just stop recording.
What trade show were they showing off the BB at, or was it a BlackBerry event?
I don't know what it was. I had no idea.
Interesting.
I just saw the video yesterday.
We're on the list for a passport, but I mean, if anybody watches this podcast, we're not going to be on the list for a long time.
No, but I did. I wanted to tell you that you failed yesterday, Michael.
I failed.
You failed. Your one email that was like, no, you shouldn't do it. That did not work. I ended up buying the Z Ultra.
Oh. Well, how about that? I seem to recall Steven asking me when I bought the Nexus 5 if I was comfortable being on the bleeding edge of technology. I want to turn that question to you, Taylor. I mean, are you sure that you're ready for something so new and fresh?
Yeah, I mean, I realize it's almost a year old, and I reviewed it last year, and I kind of just have this urge that's not going to go away because I got completely ripped another one in the review, in the comments of the review for the Xperia Z Ultra.
Huh.
And if you go read it, they're still there. There's like 150, 200 comments that are just like, you're a moron. Why would you not like this phone? It's amazing.
No, what did you get? One on Swappa or something, or did you pick up those GPE ones that were on sale the other week?
Yeah, I got it through Expansis. $350 with a case and a screen protector.
Not too shabby.
Well, congratulations on your purchase, Taylor. I think if it makes you happy, then it makes me happy.
Well, I got it because I think I'm going to use it instead of the Nexus 7 in my car because it actually fits inside the dash, whereas the Nexus does not. So.
Our podcast producer, Jules, has very helpfully gotten Taylor's Xperia Z Ultra review on the screen. And once the old internet comes back, we'll see it. Let's get to answering these questions because we do have three people wondering what the hell they should buy. The first one is Avishai Schweinsteiner, who says, I have T-Mobile, and I'm ready for a new phone. I can't decide between the iPhone 5S, Galaxy S5, the One M8, or the G Flex. You guys give me a recommendation. I love this question because, yes, it's a pretty common example of a question, like where people are like, I can't decide between a lot of high-end phones. But this question encapsulates, with the exception of Windows Phone and BlackBerry, all like the high-end phones that everyone talks about. It's like the very best of the best in every category almost, or the perceived best of the best.
And
then the G Flex. So
not the G Flex. Don't do it.
I don't know, Taylor. Like, I was thinking that today as I was drinking a milkshake out on the stairs. I was like, I wonder how I'm going to answer this question. And I still, to be quite honest, don't know because really, as always, it's a question of priorities. But I want our guest to take a crack at this one. And it's okay if you just answer with your own preference, but which one of these do you think our friend Avishai should invest in, Stefan?
I'm going to say he shouldn't buy any of them. So if Avishai wanted to go to a store today, right now, and purchase a phone, I would tell him to get the 64GB Moto X.
Whoa!
Yeah.
That's a bold stance. Now, why would you suggest someone invest in a year-old phone whose sequel is just about to drop?
Okay, well, he wants to buy a phone, which means he doesn't want to hear, oh, but the iPhone 6 is coming out. Oh, but the Motorola X Plus 1 is coming out. He doesn't want to hear that. He wants to buy a phone today. And honestly, that's the best phone out there. The HTC One M8, if you buy it from an operator, it's going to have all that shit software. I have an HTC One M8 here from AT&T, and the AT&T software is so terrible that I refuse to use that phone. The iPhone, it's a great phone, but the iPhone 5S, it's got a 4-inch screen, so forget about it. And the Moto X 64GB. I mean, it's on sale for what, like $380?
Yeah, it's very cheap. Yeah, I mean, it's a great deal. There's no question, because its successor is literally like 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If you care anything about display quality, G-Flex is off the table. And Michael, you're going to disagree with me.
I'm not. You are absolutely right. That display is horrid. You're absolutely
awful
right.
Because it's 720p. The screen is what, 5.5?
It's 6 inches. It's 6 inches.
That's right, 6 inches. And it's POLED, so it's under plastic. It's not under glass. It's under.
No,
plastic.
that's not true. That's not true. It's a glass protective plate. The glass is curved, but it's plastic OLED that makes up the display itself.
And doesn't it keep detaching from its substrate, and it's like getting bumps and stuff?
Kind of depends on how often you punch it in the back of the head.
I was using mine, and I laid it down, and I accidentally sat on it. Not like just did, and the screen bubbled.
Oh yeah, I had some screen bubbling myself, but we sat on these things. Like, I used mine to like destroy for a video essentially, and we bought it. So
all I'm saying is image retention after 10 seconds or literally 3 seconds image retention, that's horrible.
Oh yeah, it's haunted.
It's horrendous. It is a ghost screen. But we don't have to talk about the G-Flex after this. But if I could see myself carrying it once, even with the stock LG software, which is ugly as sin, assuming they don't update it to the new skin if they haven't already. Like, I was able to make the G-Flex look really good, and if you care at all about people noticing your phone, this is me being vain, the G-Flex is the easiest way to do. No one will ever leave you alone in your life if you carry that phone in public. They'll be like, "What is that? Is that the new Samsung?" And you'll be like, "No, have you heard about LG?" It's like, if you want a conversation piece, the G-Flex is a brill time.
More so than a wooden-backed Moto X, you think?
Absolutely, because the Moto X, which I adore, and Stefan, I think it's a good reco. I would say yes if it weren't August of 2014. It's like impossible to notice the ebony. It looks like just
lighter
one.
Yours does the same thing mine does. I thought it did it because it was the soft plastic back. You probably can't see it because I don't have any light to reflect. But yours has the 2 lines down the back.
Yeah, I noticed that. It looked like a low polygon render or something.
Yeah,
man, it's just being itself. It's just trying to get by in this crazy
really
world.
thin wood.
Trying not to get judged too hard, but yeah. So anyway, the G-Flex, you should only consider that if you really want something odd for the sake of it being odd, and if you want terrific battery life and a wraparound screen that's fun.
A reason to use your 100 tattoos.
That's right. But the G-Flex is an outlier, but I still don't think you should outright dismiss it. If you want something unusual, that's the one to go with. But Stephen, what do you think? Actually, I'm sorry, excuse me. Taylor, what is your recommendation? We know you don't like the G-Flex.
Out of those 4, I would definitely say the One M8. If you're on T-Mobile, which I have the T-Mobile One M8, the actual carrier bloat isn't so bad, and you can remove most of it. I'd go with that. The camera's not going to be the best in the world, but it's also not the worst. That's pretty much it.
Good call. Steven?
Yeah, I think I'd go with One M8 as well. But then again, this being T-Mobile, which is like the carrier in the States to go for if you're bringing your own device, you have a ton of more options than just these few phones mentioned here. So maybe consider expanding your horizons a little. Maybe import something weird that nobody in the U.S. would have. As long as the bands line up, go for it.
That's a good point, too.
Google Play Edition. Don't do that either. It's too big.
I want to say that my mind immediately leapt to One M8 as well, but that's me. If I'm not going to get the G-Flex, I'm going to get a device that I'm happy with the hardware on because I think it's built with care. The physical manifestation of the device is built well. I don't feel that way about the Galaxy S5, except the Galaxy S5 is the one I would choose if I were a very active person because, for as maybe tenuous as it is, that IP67 water protection and dust protection, that ain't no joke if you're on like a boat all day, for example. And Avishai, if you want something that's going to be sort of rock solid, but the absolutely most conventional safe choice in the world, then the iPhone is a good call. This question always comes down to what you value most. So I think the G-Flex is the one to pick if you want to stand out in a crowd. The Galaxy S5 is the one to pick if you are going to get it wet or beat it up a whole lot, or if you want to know your heart rate for some reason. The iPhone 5S has a great reputation because the iPhone is a wonderfully well-rounded device, but it's tiny and it's old. And the One M8, well, it's just a beauty. But that camera has a pretty low resolution. So there it is.
I just want to add one thing, though. So on top of Taylor's recommendation for the Google Play Edition Xperia Z Ultra, I'm not going to recommend that, but Expanses is also selling the Google Play Edition Samsung Galaxy S4.
Yeah, that's cheap.
For $400. And if I had to have a choice between the Nexus 5 and the Google Play Edition Galaxy S4, I would take the Galaxy S4.
For real?
Yeah.
Now, why would you do a thing like that? I'm just curious.
The camera and the size.
All right. I mean, I'll give you the camera because the S5, though optically stabilized, or the Nexus 5, though optically stabilized, is not the best. But the size, like you like a bigger device because aren't they both 5 inches? Am I remembering the S4 right?
Yes, they're both 5 inches, but the bezels on the Galaxy S4 practically aren't even there.
Yeah, that's true. I just remember hefting that Galaxy S4 and just I couldn't wait to be done with it the whole time I had it just because it was so light. It felt so insubstantial. And the Nexus 5 does too, but at least with the black one you get the nice soft touch. But maybe I'm just too particular on the hardware. I did like the S4 screen quite a bit better than I like the Nexus 5 screen, so there's something to be said for that too. Yeah, open your mind, everyone, to the unlocked market, if you will. Stephen, yes,
thank you. There's a lot of affordable stuff out there.
And Jules has a great point. Jules,
Go on Swappa, find something new.
Just buy all of them.
Yeah.
On swappa.com/pocketnow. Coach Carter asks, I love these questions. This is cool. I'm a first-time smartphone buyer. That rocks socks. Should I wait for the Oneplus One invite or get a Lumia 1520 or 1020? I like this. These choices are really awesome.
Weird
like,
selection.
What? Okay. One thing I'm worried about each phone, 1020, age.
Yeah.
Straight up. 1520 size, word. OnePlus One availability. Ecosystem doesn't matter to me. Love that. Thanks and have a nice day, Coach Carter. This is a great question. I mean, we have the objections already taken care of right up front. The 1020 is old as F, based on its internals, not necessarily its chronological age. Oh, yeah, Stephen?
I don't know about the 1520's objection there. I sort of feel like that's the reason you buy the 1520, because you want a phone that size.
Not necessarily, because remember, it's one of only 3 Windows Phone devices that packs the Snapdragon 800.
Oh, yeah, that too.
So a lot of people, when it was the only one that packed those high-end internals, they bought the 1520 because it was the best Windows Phone device you could get, specs-wise. But the 1520 is a monster. We've said it a couple times on this show, but if you want a big phone, getting the 1520 will satisfy that desire and then some. Like it's a monster. So if size is at all a consideration, I wouldn't recommend that. And the 1020 has a beautiful camera, but it's got a fairly old processor now. I still carry. I'm going to stop talking and let you guys talk in a second, but I still carry the 1020 as one of my daily drivers. So I do have something to say about this, and I will say that I have not been let down by it from a spec standpoint, because any app that I can download in the Windows Store, and this is not a dig at the Windows Store for being small, but any app that I can find runs fine on the 1020, despite its somewhat older processor. And of course, the camera can't be beat. The only concern I would have about the 1020 is that it too is due for a replacement sometime soon. Stefan, you probably...
What about that OnePlus, though? What do we think? That's a weird thing for the only Android option to be.
Yeah, but I get why that is. Like, I feel like Coach Carter has maybe a stripe of contrarianism within him, because these are phones that you get when you want something unusual, when you're bored with everything else. And for a first smartphone, I mean, that's another layer of this too, right? Like the OnePlus One, I feel like is for tinkerers, for people who who want to tap into raw potential and to really mess about.
People who already were installing CyanogenMod on their normal phones, and now they want something that's that from the core, so they can get that experience, from soup to nuts. Indeed,
yeah. I think you'll definitely be able to do more with the OnePlus One. The availability concern is a very real one, but you can get them. It's not unfeasible. I mean, it's not unbelievable that you could get one.
What were the choices again for Coach Carter?
The 1020, 1520, OnePlus One.
Yeah.
I like that.
There's got to be another Android we could suggest in here.
No, because I like staying confined to these options because I don't want to get too.
We did
You
with
know?
the last person.
Well, I know, but the choice selection was not as cool for the last person. Like
What
this.
about a
I would
950?
argue that it was.
I would get the 1520, honestly. If I had to pick between those three devices, it would be the 1520 for sure, because I love large screens, and I could use SMS and the browser and the 5 or 6 apps available on Windows Phone and be happy.
God, you're such a troll in disguise.
It's not a disguise. It is not. I'm the master troll.
You're just out and proud about the troll.
Yeah. I will ruin your day because I can.
It's not a bad recommendation. It's just a question of if you're at all concerned about the size, I would toss out that possibility. But then again, if you think you can manage it, the 1520 is the best ever. And the OnePlus One seems... It's such a hard decision because the OnePlus One, even though it is bought by a lot of people who tweak and hack and root and such, it is not necessarily confined to that. I could see...
No, absolutely not.
Right? Yeah, I could see someone who just appreciates...
Of those three, I think it's probably the least obviously objectionable. Yes, there's the availability issue. When your hands on it, it's just a regular old smartphone with no, oh, it's so thick or it's so big thing to complain about. It's a phone.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty big, but yeah, it's not so big. If the Lumia icon were on this list, or if the Lumia 930 were on this list, I mean, that would make this a bit easier, because that might be what I...
Absolutely.
It's fantastic. But I have to go with what Steven says here, because age and size are two things that, you have no control over. If you have that concern about it before you buy the phone, then, after you buy it, and that's something you have to deal with. If you can get your hands on the OnePlus One, and that's your only concern is the availability, then go with the OnePlus One.
Yeah, there's another concern with OnePlus One, which is batch quality control, which apparently they're having some trouble with. So, and also the camera. Either whether you get a 1520 or a 1020, you're going to get a camera that is effectively better than anything else you can find on a smartphone. So, if you take a lot of pictures, go with one of those. If
you ain't getting any younger.
It is true, but maybe you can still snap up a 1020 with Nokia branding, and then you'll have a collector's item. Nice. So let's move on to the final one here. Thank you, Coach. Hopefully that non-answer was sufficient. Harsha Chandra Shekhar asks, "Hi, Michael, Stephen, and Taylor, and Stefan. I am a long-time listener of your podcast and cue them for my weekly 5-hour trip to my physical office." My God.
Jeez.
Thanks for increasing the length of the podcast to 2 hours and beyond.
It's fully intentional.
I need to be so bad. Like, I hate you for this. But
All right, well, let's power through. I only have to listen to 2 to 3 episodes now. Also, thanks for recommending Gunner Optics. Maybe you should get them onto Pocketnow deals. Maybe they should sponsor the podcast, right? My question to you. The Xiaomi Mi 3 went on sale in India for $230, which is exactly the same price as a Moto G. This is half the price of a Nexus 5 and 30% the cost of the latest flagships from LG, HTC, Samsung, etc., with about the same specs. I know that Mi 3 is not yet for sale in the US. The specifications are as follows. We have a 5-inch IPS LCD, Snapdragon 800, 2 gigs of RAM, 13-megapixel camera, 3,050 mAh battery, and then check this out. The Mi 3 is 8.1 millimeters thin, 145 grams light, and houses an aluminum magnesium alloy frame coated with 3 layers of thermal graphite. My God, if that's not the craziest thing I ever read. But given the choice and assuming LTE coverage, will you buy these over the more expensive flagships? I look forward to Taylor's cynical retort to Michael's answer.
Yes.
Thanks, Marsha.
I don't know where it went.
Actually, yeah, and Taylor's actually going to have to speak first because none of the rest of us have hands-on experience with a Xiaomi device. Taylor's the only one on the team. Yeah, all right. Yeah, Stephen, why don't you share your opinion? Because Taylor's looking for his, and share your opinion on this Xiaomi device.
Well, I don't know so much about the Mi 3, but the Mi 4 we just heard about in the past week or so, and I mean it's not that huge a step over the Mi 3, but I'm thinking about this. This is a really compelling phone. It looks great. It's probably not going to be available in the U.S. ever, because I think there's a lot of talk about how Apple would just sue the pants off of Xiaomi if they tried to release it here, because it's such a very iPhone-inspired, I guess is a nice way of saying it, design, but it's beautiful. It's cheap. The specs are second to none. There's a lot to like about this.
Yeah,
and the
there's
the same thing.
Jules has helpfully thrown up a news story for us that Flipkart is claiming the Xiaomi Mi 3 sold out in 5 seconds.
Yeah, this is like Bieber concert tickets or something.
Yeah. And it is showing us being in stock in a number of different colors. I mean, wow. Yeah, no, that's a legit news story. Tuesday said it's sold out of its stock of Mi 3 smartphone within 5 seconds of going on sale. So it sounds like this thing's getting a lot of play. Sounds like it's getting plenty of press. And it sounds like it has an aluminum magnesium alloy frame with 3 layers of thermal graphite. Is it an airplane or a smartphone? I mean, what are we talking about here?
The thing about Xiaomi is that it makes quality products. That's one thing you cannot dispute, at least from what I've read and what I've experienced. I have the Redmi 1S here, and this thing's great. It's, I think, the same price as the is it the Moto E? I don't remember.
Oh God, is it that
Moto
cheap?
E. This thing it's under $200. It's really cheap, and it's great. It's heavy. The quality's nice. The display is, but the rest is, pretty good. And that's the thing is, while the company is it gets a lot of flack for its principles, which it takes some inspiration from Apple. The CEO, I can't remember his name, but is ridiculed for showing up on stage wearing the same exact attire as Steve Jobs, having the same presentation.
Is that Ugo Barra?
No. He's a VP now.
Yeah.
He's Oppo, right? No, I can't remember.
He's with Xiaomi.
Okay.
I think his name is
Li
Jack
Jun.
Ma.
Li Jun, I think is how you pronounce it. He shows up on stage. He does the one more thing. He does all that. So they get a lot of flack for this, but they make some really compelling products. And I think what makes them so compelling is that they sell them just above cost, if not at cost, because they sell back, or they sell things like themes and wallpapers and icons and all that to make money.
Right.
Yeah, and when you're selling out in 3 minutes, you can afford to have razor-thin margins because you're going to be getting 1 million.
Shipping a whole lot of volume. Right. Yeah. But the question is, if I'm not mistaken, do you buy this or do you buy this over the Moto G? Is that what's being asked here?
Over a Moto G? Yes.
Will you buy these over the more expensive flagships? That's the question. Yeah, no, you need to. I think we mentioned this a couple times when we were talking about OnePlus a couple weeks ago. If it's me, no, you need to prove yourself first. I need to see hundreds of thousands of other people buy this thing, and then I need to read their reviews. I need to see if how often they're returning it. There's the jeans and the black shirt there. You need to see if there are batch quality control issues like we've seen with the One. You need to take a step back and see how this thing pans out. I think Xiaomi is still new enough to the market that it's like.
Well, it is 4 years old. The company is 4 years old, and yesterday.
Is that old?
It's 4 years old, and yesterday it was announced the 5th largest smartphone manufacturer in the world.
Wow, I'm out of touch.
They've just moved ahead of LG, I think.
I just wrote an editorial about it. That's why I was late. I was writing about how it faked some stuff on its Mi 3 product page.
It faked some stuff. What did it fake?
It stole some copyrighted photography from Flickr, 500px, and 500 pixels, and
Welcome to China.
National Geographic.
Right, and I get that the cultural values concerning using others' work is different and stuff, but F that, man.
Like, using them as camera samples of what its phone could do when they were taken by other people on assorted different devices, or?
They were found in the gallery, so it had this picture, a render, that said camera roll at the top, and it showed, the camera roll, and instead of having pictures taken with the phone, it was a bunch of copyrighted photos and...
Wait, so it was literally claiming that the copyrighted photos that it stole were part of the camera roll shot with the Xiaomi?
It was never stated, nor were there any sort of
I feel like this is
Disclaimers.
laziness more than deception, at least
Yeah.
from
Yeah,
what I'm
it was
hearing.
But
really-
whatever the cause, like, I mean, this is Bush League bullshit. If you're going to be playing, if you're the 5th biggest like shipper of phones, you've got to have your shit in order, man. You can't
Yeah,
be
I-
stealing other people's work and like maybe passing it off as your own, maybe not. And if they catch us, we'll
Testify.
change it up and it'll be fine.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
I realize
never
it was-
acknowledged it or anything. I just said it was a rookie mistake, and that it's time, now that they're the fifth largest manufacturer in the world, for them to put on their big boy pants, because it's time to
Effing
stop
true
stealing
that,
work.
man.
And stop. I mean, they're slandered just all over the internet for copying Apple, like not just kind of taking some inspiration, but like copying them.
Yeah.
So
No, I wouldn't. No, Harsha, I would not buy anything from this company until that kind of bullshit stops. What about you, gentlemen? You want to answer this?
I'd rather spend $100 more, $200 more to get a Nexus 5 or something that's on sale, something that's maybe a little older, because the Mi 3 is a little older now. It's not brand new. It might have just gone on sale in India, but it's a little older. So
Yep. I just wanted to mention, while we're talking about the company, we may have concerns about their phones, quality, and how up and up the company is, but their wearables, this Mi Band we've heard about, that is being introduced along with the Mi 4, it's under $20. And it seems to be, I mean, it doesn't have a screen or anything, but it seems to be on par with stuff like that Sony Band that it launched back around MWC or something. Or if you just want something to count your steps and the connectivity tracker that you're going to link up to a phone, that's, I mean, if it's crappy, who cares? $20. I mean, you don't need a rechargeable battery on that thing. Just use it for a month or two till it's dead.
Yeah. I want to hit up 2 or 3 of these Q&As very quickly. I really like this one from Richard Gao. I feel like Stefan is the unpopular opinion penguin.
I'm a penguin.
Good one. Do you think there will be a? Do you? Yeah. Huh?
sorry, it was from Jules. He said the Xiaomi Redmi 1S is $10 cheaper than the Moto E. So
Well, I didn't like the Moto E very much, so that's it. I would toss that in the air. But
I haven't used the Moto E, but I would say that he asked if the display was better. I would say I haven't used the Moto E, but I would say the display isn't horrible. I mean, it's got this kind of like metallic reflectiveness to it. So.
yeah, from what I saw in my brief time with it before I shipped it to you, yes, the Moto E's display is inferior to the Redmi 1S.
What's the resolution on the E? Is that 720p or
960 by 540, I believe.
So that's QHD.
QHD, right? Yeah. Every time I have to switch to the chat, I have to switch away from the Q&A, so I'm not going to do that anymore. Do you think there will be a smaller Nexus 6 as well? Nicholas Ritzenhoff. No. Right? You guys?
Absolutely not.
I hope
There's
so.
usually one for a specific reason. Developers have to target their apps for a specific size. Phablets are all the rage. There's rumors about a 5.5-inch iPhone. I mean, large is in.
Yeah, I agree, and everything militates against that. Everything
I'm upset.
that we've seen in the past, yeah. Do I need a phone? Says this is the last Q&A. AWS, Al Mukhtar. I need a phone that replaces my PC. What do you think is keeping Android or Windows Phone evolving to hardware or software? Motorola Atrix laptop dock was my hope of the future.
Yeah.
I
Or
like
that
this.
Ubuntu phone. Ubuntu can have a plug-in desktop experience. They might have shelved that. I feel like I wrote about them abandoning that side of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that is not something you'd want to wait for.
I know that they shipped it.
What's
to
the actual
developers.
question?
The question is, essentially, I need a phone that replaces my PC.
That's never going to happen.
No,
Not never. I won't say it never.
I won't,
Nope,
I won't
I'm
say
saying
never.
never.
I still think the philosophy of the right tool for the right job wins out. There are things I use my computer for that I will never want to use a smaller device for. Yes, I could bang out a 500-word email on a phone. I don't want to.
Sounds
That
awful.
sucks, doesn't it? Yeah, but
Hey, I've written a 3,000-word review from a phone.
You're rocking that Zag there, yeah.
I
that's
know,
right.
from a phone. I sat in a parking lot waiting on my friends, and I wrote about 90% of a review
Yeah,
because they were an hour and a half late.
So I think there was a time for that. I think that the Atrix is a good example. There was a time when manufacturers like Motorola were trying to do that. Things like, how can we differentiate? Let's see if we can make the phone the Nexus, if you will, of a user's life. and then just put different accessories into it to use it in different settings. But that's not the way we're going now. We have attachments that, like Chromecast, that attach to our TV to make them talk to our phone. We have phones that sync wirelessly with tablets. The idea now is to move your online consciousness into different devices of different sizes.
Except for Asus with those pad phones he keeps putting out.
Yeah, I was going to mention the pad phone. I didn't want to get in.
I think for now and in the short term, that's how things are going to go. But I think eventually, and in, I'd say the next half decade, so five years, 5 to 10 years, I'd say that smartphone computing power is going to continue to advance. I mean, we've seen it. They're quickly encroaching on like last gen console power, and graphic computing processing and all of this. You have a phone and a tablet that can compute that kind of power, or has that kind of power inside. I think eventually you will have phones that's your dock. You sit it in a dock and you have a workstation. It powers everything. You have all your storage there, but you take it with you.
I don't know. I don't see that. I see cloudification happening way before any of that. I see you keep your stuff elsewhere and you can access it from anywhere. I don't think a lot of people really want to say like, all right, everything I have is in this, and I'm going to take this everywhere. And then, they get drunk and drop it, and then it's,
You're in the city, fine, the cloud works, but we're a long way off from the sort of ubiquitous broadband service that you really need for the cloud to be a realistic option.
I don't disagree. I just think we're closer to that than we are to like, all right, here's everything in my life. Like, I don't know. I mean, that's what I envisioned a long time ago.
You haven't seen Paranoia. I watched it
every week.
You watched it when that was recommended to us in listener mail, really?
Yeah.
I meant to. We should have had a co-viewing. We are going to move into listener mail. We're going to have Jules sound the bong bong in just a second, but before we do, I want to give our guest a chance to depart. We have hit the 90 minutes. It's all that we booked you for. Your appearance fee doesn't cover anything beyond this, Stefan, but do you want to hang around for the 3 pieces of listener mail?
I will, because you apparently were not in the chat room when I said, quote, Jesus Christ, comma, I need to pee, comma, BRB. So I left already, and I'm back now.
I saw you leave. I saw you. I'm good. I'm relieved that you're relieved.
I am relieved. Yes. Okay.
Good. Hey. All right. Listener mail. Jules, sound the bong bong. Thank you very much. Here we are, coming into the old mailbox here, and there are 3 here. One of these is Inside Baseball, which I think we're going to end on. But this one is about the Pebble. And since Taylor has his vocal cords warmed up, maybe we'll pitch this. We'll pitch this at him first. Taylor, would you like me to read this one to you?
Sure.
Hi, I just got a Pebble, not steel, original Pebble, on eBay for $66. In the last episode, Taylor said you have to own a smartwatch to understand it. I hope I will. What apps do you recommend? Do you recommend a different strap? And what is your favorite smartwatch so far this year? Thanks. If you answer on the podcast, it would be amazing. Dylan Collis. Dylan, thank you for writing in. These are good questions. I love Pebble questions. Taylor, why don't you take a crack at it?
Well, for some reason, I just thought you said crack addict, but
Taylor, why don't you take a crack addict onto the air next time?
Taylor can quit anytime he wants.
I love me some smack.
What?
No, I just said I love me some smack, which no.
I would say that for $66, you got a pretty good deal. That's
a great deal.
Yeah, that few will argue with. As far as apps go, I use, because I don't even know, I haven't actually used my Pebble in a while. It's been on my wrist and hasn't been not working, but connected. There's an app that's simply called Weather. That's the name of it, and you can get weather for 2 different cities with 5-day forecasts and all that. Yelp, Tiny Bird, if you want to play some, Flappy Bird on your wrist, because why wouldn't you? I also use Tabata Timer, which is a kind of it's a workout timer, but I've modified it to my work schedule. So I open this app up, I hit start, and it counts for 50 minutes, and then it buzzes and tells me that it's time to take a break. I take a break for 10 minutes, and then I come back for 50 more. So that one's good. You can tell it how many times you want it to do that before it just stops. And I'm going to have to look it up, but the watch face I use is really cool. I love it. I don't know why this thing's buzzing.
I can tell you my watch face if you need a second. Taylor's holding up his Pebble, and it has the time, and immediately below it the weather, and immediately below that the forecast for the next week, and a persistent battery life indicator in the upper right. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's actually not a forecast. That's a calendar, so you can see.
It's a calendar below the weather. Oh, you have a 3-function watch face. What's it called? You don't know what it's called?
Yeah, I think it's X time.
Okay.
Like lowercase x, uppercase T, IME.
Well, I've got a recommendation that I will not illustrate. It's called Futura Weather. Futura, like the font, like the word future with an A at the end instead of an E. Taylor doesn't like it, but that's because he doesn't know typefaces. He doesn't know what looks great on a smartwatch, and it looks great. Futura, you got to grab it. It has the time up top, a little minimalistic weather icon down below with the temperature, maybe a cloud, maybe a sun, maybe a raindrop. You don't know. You don't know how it goes. It depends on what kind of day you're looking at. Taylor has found the app. He has also found new and exciting ways to wash out his webcam.
Yeah. Well, I'm completely washed out this time because of lighting in here. It's either washed out or pitch black. So.
Lots of apps to be found on the Pebble. I will also recommend some people find it useless, but the Foursquare app, which you can, that's the one, or Yelp, right, which you kind of shake your wrist and it gives you a random location nearby that you might want to visit.
Yeah.
I like that one because I like to just kind of explore new places and whatever. So there's all kinds of stuff. So just dive in. You will be unable, Dylan, to resist the temptation once you get your Pebble to just go into the Pebble App Store and just kind of install stuff and try stuff out. Some of it's crap. Some of it is really, really cool. So
yeah, you might resist the urge if you get into the app and it's as slow and jumpy as it used to be. I don't know. I haven't used it in a while.
Oh, the Pebble
App
App Store.
I have all the apps in my locker, so I don't ever go into the App Store anymore because you scroll and it pauses.
Yeah, because it's got to load all those all the GIFs that are there to like animate and show you what the faces look like. Like it's yeah. Before we go, Steven, anything on the Pebble there?
I ain't got no Pebble. I don't know.
Wasn't there a second half to that question?
There was not.
Okay.
Okay, so I reviewed the Samsung Galaxy Gear, the first one, and the second one, and the Galaxy Gear Fit. And my whole thing with smartwatches is I actually realized when I'm out, I don't want my wrist just vibrating every 5 seconds. So I was all hyped about the whole smartwatch thing, but now not so much. I'm not sure if that helps the.
Do you hang out? Do you hang out in the comments at pocketnow.com, Stefan?
No, I don't.
We have this discussion a lot. Actually,
there was a second half to the question.
No, there was. I was totally wrong. There was a second and a third half to the question. Well, let's power through them real quick. Do you recommend a different strap? Yeah, absolutely, I do.
Yes.
The strap that comes with Pebble is just whatever. It's a regular silicone strap. You should get what Taylor and I got, which is a powder. What is it? Powder deposit. PVD. Powder vapor deposition, something.
Yes.
Yeah, which is a matte. It gives you a matte black finish on a metal band. It's a little expensive if you get it from Watch Shop, but it's totally worth it. It makes the sort of cheap-feeling first-gen Pebble feel a little better on your wrist, and it's got a standard attachment, so you can do that all the time. And what is your favorite smartwatch so far this year? I think everyone should answer this question quickly.
I was going to answer the
I know, but we get. I don't want to get
Fossil.
20 minutes beyond the thing.
There, Fossil.
What? Fossil?
Let's go to Fossil. They have plenty of watch straps and they're really nice.
Oh. I was gonna. All right. Well, I thought you were answering the question with that. All right. You get to. Now we wait for you to go last, Taylor. Stefan, I know you don't like it very much, but your favorite smartwatch, your least objectionable smartwatch of the year.
All right. So I would purchase within the confines of this question. I would buy a Samsung Galaxy Gear Fit and simply not hook it up to my phone and use it as a watch.
Contrarian.
You know, I can't say that that's fine. That's a fine answer. I like it. Thank you for answering.
No problem.
Steven.
I'm going with the Gear 2.
Whoa.
I mean, well, Moto 360 maybe. I don't know what to think about that yet, and I'm not completely sold on the whole Android Wear thing, but I'm just saying Gear 2 for that camera. It's such an improvement over the original Galaxy Gear, and that's something I can see myself using a lot. I don't want to always pull my phone out. I just want to take a picture of like a product or something. Boom, wrist shot, I'm done. That sounds great. And no one else is doing that like Samsung is.
You just want to take some creep shots for Reddit.
Little column B.
Mine is the even though I've never worn it, I have, but I haven't owned it. The Pebble Steel. I really think that Pebble has nailed the formula for a smartwatch and has built in exactly as much functionality as it can deliver without going overboard. I do like the Gear Live, but I do not think it's a terribly good product, as I said in my review. So the Pebble Steel would be my answer. Taylor, you?
Well, I love the Pebble Steel. I like it, but the problem is I can't swap out the watch band, and that kind of irks me because I want to be able to swap out and do what I want with it. I mean, I can between the leather and the steel one. I just want to see what the Moto 360 is about. That's really, if I had to pick one that's out right now, Pebble Steel, but I'm waiting for Moto 360 for sure.
Matter of weeks.
No
Okay,
question.
now I just had a second to think about this. Wasn't there some Swiss company that announced a smartwatch called the AV8 or something like that, where it lasts like a year? Yeah, I would get that one.
What?
It's like $350.
How much a watch should cost?
Exactly.
And that the Moto 360 is going to be any cheaper. So
yeah.
All right. We are going to talk a lot about the Moto 360 when it gets here, but obviously we're all waiting really hard for that. But thank you, everyone, for chiming in with your answers regarding existing products. And finally, the last question of the podcast will be led into by the last Q&A of the podcast.
We got two questions,
in all caps. No, I believe I only sent 3 out. One about the Pebble, one about the... oh, God.
We didn't get to the iWatch one.
I know. Well, we've got to talk about it because it's important. It's a good question. Rex Cosmos says, "Hey, Pocket Monsters."
Great name.
It is a great name. Is it fair to assume that the iWatch is not coming out anytime soon? Unlike the much-leaked iPhone 6 variants and upcoming iPads, there have been no signs that show the iWatch is in production. I've been waiting for the iWatch to be announced since the Pebble was released. Am I going to have to get a Moto 360? Exclamation point, question mark, frown on face. Thanks for the shows, Socrates, a.k.a. Rex Cosmos. P.S. Bless your patience with Google Hangouts. Amen. Thanks, Rex. It is not an easy life. So the question is it fair to assume it's not coming out anytime soon, the Apple iWatch? I still think it's coming out before the end of the year. What do you guys think?
End of the year sounds realistic. He does have a point, though. We haven't really seen any hardware leaks. But then again, this idea where we've been getting shots of Apple hardware from components to the shell, months and months in advance, that's relatively new. This has only been the past couple iPhones we've been getting this level of access. I mean, go a few years back, and we were in the dark to a large extent until things went official. So, and maybe we're looking at just the way the iWatch is being produced. Those sources and those factories aren't able to reveal the stuff. It could still be happening. And there's been talk about delays every day. There's another rumor, it's going to happen September, October, December, January. I don't know when. I do think it's coming at some point. End of the year seems realistic, I guess. But
yeah, for all the excitement about the Moto 360, I think if there's a smartwatch worth waiting for from a particular manufacturer, it's Apple. I mean, yeah, if this is something you're not really sure you want to jump both feet into yet, and you're waiting for Apple to do it right, I would continue waiting because I think Apple will get a lot right with it. So we'll see. Stefan, do you have any insight on that?
Sure. So the most recent iWatch rumor comes from KGI security analyst Ming Cao, I think. He says it will come out by the end of this year, but it's going to be extremely limited quantities. He says 3 million units. So it might launch, but only in one country. We have to see. I just have an objection. You cannot end an email. Thanks for the shows, Socrates. That's all. Like, I need to buy this. I need to buy that. I mean, Socrates lived a very stoic lifestyle, and he got rid of all of his worldly possessions. So you have to eat and drink and sleep, and that's about it. That's all you have to do. You don't have to buy an iWatch or a Moto 360 or whatever the hell you want.
This is important.
Look what you're talking to here. Come on.
This is crucial. Well, Taylor, do you have anything before we move on?
Nope. I don't want to add to anything. Nope.
Good for you, sir.
Try and take this podcast down from the inside.
This Q&A leads us into the final listener mail. This Q&A delivered in all caps, like they all should be. Will Pocketnow be expanding their team and operation? William D. Stanley. Good question, William. Thank you for asking. That dovetails nicely with this from Christopher Creevling, sent from his BlackBerry 10 device. Good afternoon, gentlemen. I tried to get into the Q&A from the last broadcast, but wasn't able to. It was great that you had Jules on the air with the Hangout. Jules, congratulations on your shout-out. But the question I have is, how big is the team that is behind the Pocketnow editorial team? I've always been curious as to how many people it takes to pull off such a well-crafted site. Great job as always, and love the natural flow you guys have on the Pocketnow Weekly. Keep up the good work, Christopher Creevling. Thank you, Christopher.
I wanted to stop reading that question one line in and then get really offended that he's making fun of our weight now that he can see us all on the Hangouts. That's not cool, man. We do what we can, but we're only human.
Oh, how big is the team? Yes, indeed. On average, just a few pounds. It's a good question.
Last I counted, we had like 400 people, right?
Yeah, roughly that. We have 2 floors of a skyscraper in Kansas City. No, on the editorial, the thing is, it's confined to the editorial team. So we have a business team that is, I don't even know how big that team is technically. We have some fantastic, probably the best interns I've ever worked with in my life, for real.
Boy,
we
howdy.
have a wonderful podcast producer and Jules and video editor as well. But the editorial team is roughly about 9 of us. So there's your answer. You can see all of us. In fact, this is no secret. You can see all of us on a masthead, which is a lineup of thumbnails with our headshots on them down at the bottom of Pocketnow.com. Don't look at it right now because we're fixing it because it looks like crap right now. But look at it.
Like stipple pictures done, like the journal. That'd be nice.
We really should, right? Oh, that'd be great. Have someone do us in pen and inks. But that is the end of listener mail, and guys, we are getting out of here just slightly after an hour and 40 minutes, which is pretty awesome. I'm really pleased.
Baker's 90 minutes. That's close.
Yeah, exactly. It's close enough. I want to thank Stefan for joining us. It was really great to have you on the air again, and I'm kind of regretful that every time we do it, I always say we got to do this more often, and then we don't manage to. But we're busy guys, aren't we?
You gotta call me, bro.
We just talk on Twitter. Now that we're in the same time zone, it's a lot easier, actually. So
yeah, it is.
I'm going to say it on the outro, but just remind everyone one more time where they can find you on the internet, Stefan.
So I had to create a Google Plus account to be on this stupid Hangout. That's going to be deleted immediately, so do not search for me on Google Plus.
That's why I couldn't plus tag you in the announcement. Okay, I get it now. All right.
Yeah. So I'm on Twitter at WhatTheBit, and I have a website, TabDump.com. I also have a
pretty cool podcast called The Voicemail.
Yes. TheVoicemail.net. Not .com, not .org, not .edu, .net. And that comes out every once a week, just like this podcast, but it's half an hour long.
It's a little different.
Yeah, just a little.
Stephen and Taylor, thank you very much for being here as well. And Jules, before I forget it, thank you for all of your wonderful contributions to the show. Folks, our transition track is called Radiation. It's a ringtone on some Android smartphones. It's also a full-length song by Ellie Spagnola, an artist with millions of fans around the world. You should be one of them. Visit her YouTube channel, youtube.com/EllieSpags, and her website at alliespagnola.com, both of them linked in the description below, or attached to this podcast if you're listening to it. Till next time, that's going to do it for this episode of the Pocketnow Weekly, which was produced by Jules Wong, a.k.a. Greenpoint0 on Twitter. Be sure to tune in next week for another episode and send us listener mail to podcast@pocketnow.com. Also, be sure to find the hosts on Twitter. Taylor tweets about basement living at Casper Tech. Steven sits there and judges you in silence at Steven Schenk. Stefan drops science, and not a little snark, if you can believe it, at What the Bit. And I do a lot of talking about myself at Captain Two Phones. You can also follow Pocketnow officially on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Google+. And if you enjoy the podcast, help us grow our audience. Leave a review on iTunes, Xbox Music, Stitcher, and wherever else podcasts are heard. Maybe we'll give you a fun little tattoo. It'll be a great time. As always, we thank you so much for listening. We thank our sponsor as well at swappa.com/pocketnow, and we'll be back with more mobile tech talk next week.
I'm going to give them those used